Right, thank you all for coming. If we could get started, that'd be brilliant. Thank you all for coming this evening. I suppose it is this evening. There's quite a small number of us today, but this will be recorded, and hopefully everyone else does get a chance to listen to it. So basically, the aim of today really is to get everyone on the same page about visitor services and security of the collection, which mainly is in your roles in the gallery. Is really the two aspects that you'll be concentrating on whilst you're in the galleries. And I think even if you're a regular shop volunteer or information desk volunteer, or even a volunteer that works in our collections, maybe downstairs, this information is really important because it not only broadens your understanding of how we do engage with people upstairs, but you might be asked at times to go and help cover breaks and things like that. So I'm glad that you've come along today. So, areas that we're going to focus on today. There will be bits and bobs about the charge for entry that's happening on the 5th of October. Spencer's going to come in and do a couple of slides about questions that you may be asked, questions that we're being frequently asked at the moment, and also questions that you'll be asked as of 5th of October as well. So I have blocked out the ground floor space because this isn't going to be about ticketing entry, this isn't going to be about the price structure. That's all going to come in the next training, which is on the 21st of September, which is all about the logistics of the charge for entry and things like that, to help you understand how that's all going to work and how we're going to sort of police that in a way as well, actually getting people upstairs, making sure that people who are upstairs have paid and that sort of thing. But we are just focusing on the galleries today. Some things you may already know. I'm sure you all do a brilliant job as it is. But I've tried to as well think of different aspects that haven't officially been said, things that might have been changed over the past couple of years that we haven't had an official line on ever. And something that Spencer did mention recently is that actually he's never done an official visitor services and security training as something like this. It's only ever been written down in the policy or the handbook, and it is gone over in inductions as well. So it's quite nice that we do get to have this sort of fresh start just to make sure everyone is on the same page. So just a reminder as well, the pay for entry, people are going to have to pay to enter as of 5th of October to everything upstairs. So ground floor will still be free to access, the toilets will still be free to access technically. And I think in the future, it might not be straight away, but in the future there is also plans to have some of the collection down in the basement outside the toilets where the lockers are at the moment in cases. So there will be some bits and bobs of the collection free to see. I think the idea moving forward is that at some point again, this is all money providing, so it won't be straight away, but maybe when we do get some more funding in the future to acquire secure cases and things like that, is actually on the walls in here to have some stuff in the claw as well of our collection on display, because we get so many people coming in for community events here and workshops that it would be nice to actually be slightly surrounded by bits of the collection. So that's something that has been discussed before, but today we are going to be talking about galleries and the safety of the collection up there. So something I always say to new volunteers that I've inducted over the past couple of years is that there's three things that do hold up the life of a volunteer in the Holborn Museum, and three aspects of the volunteer role that you do have to think about. So it's the security of the collection, it's the security of yourselves, the security of the galleries, the building, and also of your volunteer peers as well. So on your shift, you can look out for each other. You do have to balance that with the visitor services side of things. So we have actually had wonderful comments through visitor surveys or through, what's the online one called with the owl? TripAdvisor, thank you. So we had lovely comments on TripAdvisor about our friendly welcome here. Something that we always get is visitors commenting on how relaxed the environment is, but it's never relaxed in a bad sense in that word. It it's relaxed with a sense of security that you do have there. So it is wonderful to have this volunteer program and have so many of you that are friendly and welcoming to visitors when they do come in. So it is striking a balance between those two, but also over the past couple of years, especially since the Pathways to Wellbeing project has been on, I've really tried to emphasize when advertising the program and also just within the program itself that actually this program has a huge sense of well-being. People come from all over the Southwest and sometimes even from beyond the Southwest to come and volunteer here and join in with this program. So it is, it may be just 4 hours a day, 4 hours a week that you do, something like that, but some people come because they might be feeling socially isolated and they want to do something. Some people might be coming to build skills on their CV, but not only that, to make friends and peer sort of mentorships with all of you. So I'm sure you've had experiences with other mentors, other volunteers that you can sort of recall that will sort of ring a bell with well-being. So I think that's one of the main things that really holds up the Holborn Museum program, is this sense of community that we do all have. So I'm just going to run through what we do expect of volunteers. So we expect for you all to be visible whilst you're in the galleries. Very common sense thing, but that is why we often get you to ask you to wear a name badge. So it doesn't have to be named, you don't have to be a named volunteer, but if you wish so, we can budget that in and we can get you a named badge. But this is a really good opportunity for visitors to understand that you are there to help them. So that is why we do ask you to wear a badge. To acknowledge all visitors with eye contact and a friendly welcome. Like I said earlier, it is really important that we have this sort of friendly welcome to the Holborn Museum. It could be that it sort of does link into well-being as well. I think we've had a few people come in that have said to volunteers, or you may have had experiences like this yourself, that because of the friendly welcome, because you did give eye contact and say hello to them whilst they came in, and maybe you did inspire a conversation and you did talk to them about something, that's actually been a really important part of their day. It could have been that day they were feeling really down. It actually took them a lot of effort to get out of bed and get to the museum and that sort of thing. And they come here and they have this lovely friendly welcome. Even if it's just someone saying hello, it can actually affect people's day, which is really, really nice. So I think it's really important for you all to remember and understand that it's not just about you being there as a body in the collection, which sometimes I'm sure you all must feel at times. But it is about being that face for the museum and being friendly, because people do appreciate that. It may not be that people verbally say that or appreciate it, but they might go home and think, actually, I really liked the Holborn Museum and I really liked that there was someone there willing to tell me about something. So we do ask that you acknowledge all visitors when they do come in. To inform visitors of what's on display in the gallery that you're stationed in. So we do have lots and lots of things for you upstairs to learn the gallery. Something to learn the museum. Something that I say to volunteers when they do come in for the first time is that I don't expect anyone to be world-class historians. I think everyone has different rates of learning. Everyone has different ways of learning as well. And as long as you can engage with the engagement tools that we have upstairs, such as the labels, the large print labels that we have, and the volunteer guidebooks when they are up to date, I know, and the volunteer guidebooks as well. That is a really good way of actually being able to inform visitors of what's on display. So I know most of you in this room do have a good knowledge of the collection, but we do have some people that come in that find it really quite daunting to come in, and they think they're expected to know all the answers to all the public's questions. As you may know, we have very silly questions sometimes. Sometimes people are asking, what did Holborn like to have for his breakfast? Or the other day, you might have someone that comes in and actually asks, was this Holborn's house? That's a really easy one, because we all know that, we came here in 1960. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to inform visitors of what's on display and to inform them about the gallery and the museum and how we work as well. Something that I do always try and say as well is that you can often, I encourage talking about the volunteer program as much as possible. It not only informs people that the volunteer program is there, it informs people that we are a charity, that we rely on people's donation of your time. And even moving forward, our charity status isn't changing. We are still looking to be doing fundraising events and things like that. And there will be an element, once everything is settled down, of asking for donations in certain times, because there will still be donation boxes upstairs. So that's something, you know, we ask of the charity. We still do need people's help. To ask open questions to establish needs. So again, this does sort of link into the whole aspect of maybe, you know, changing someone's day. It could be that asking open questions actually makes them think about different areas of the collection. Open questions, I mean, again, it could be anything really. It could be that you're asking, is this the first time you come to the Holborn? They might say, yes, it is. You might ask, what kind of art are you into? They might say, Dutch masterpieces. You might say, brilliant, we have a Dutch masterpieces exhibition upstairs, it's £10. So it can lead into promoting exhibitions. But not only that, just asking open questions as well is just best practice of visitor service. You can, it's a level of engagement that I think a lot of museums do lack sometimes. Going around to other museums, even when you see people who are paid staff, and they're quite obviously paid staff, and they're just there to patrol galleries. I think lacking in that person-to-person quality is something that's really evident there. So I really do encourage asking questions to people. And I'm sure it makes your day go a lot better as well, because you then might have an interesting story that comes out of it. You might learn something as well, and things like that. So I do encourage everyone to ask questions to our public. So, the big one, we do ask that you're standing whilst you're in the gallery. So I have also put, I will do a run through. We're not really mean. We do know that different people have different abilities and you might need to sit down at times, absolutely fine. What we want to discourage really is, you'll see at the bottom here, the use of any mobile phones in the gallery. And I just have that image in my head that I want to sort of eradicate in the Holborn Museum of someone slumped in a chair on a mobile phone. That is just the opposite of good visitor service in my book. So you can have a sit down, but do just be aware that whilst the public are in there, please be up and attentive as much as you can. And like I said, I do know that many people have different ability issues, or it could be that you've twisted your ankle that week and that sort of thing. And do just let our duty managers know if you are struggling at all. But yeah, do try and be stood up as much as possible. To promote exhibitions, so like I do say, it could be through those conversations, those open conversations that you have with people. But something that I think is really valuable as well is to be aware of different exhibitions that we've had in the past, to be aware of exhibitions that we are having coming up, and also what's on at the moment as well. So always, I do suggest when the new What's On comes out, I suggest that you take one home, or even we put some up in the gallery so you can browse them in a quiet moment. But it is really important that you do know that you are sort of engaged with the museum as much as possible. And like I said about past exhibitions, we often do have people coming in saying, haven't you got the Nicholas Rena pots in? And I thought, actually, that was 2 years ago we had that in. So you can, I know it might be a lot easier if you were volunteering at the time and you would remember that. But it is something that's really important to know what we have had in the past and things like that. All of that information you can browse online on the website. Not only do we have information on the Holborn website about what past exhibitions, but also on the museum volunteers website, we've got all the training videos and everything as well. So even if you're a new volunteer and you've come recently and you want to know about the Joseph Riot Derby exhibition that was a couple of years ago, that video is still accessible to you online, so you've got a wealth of knowledge on there online. Or even if you were here at the time and you just want to brush up your knowledge on Joseph Derby, that's still accessible online. Yeah. To be vigilant at all times to make sure the safety of the collection. Now, again, it's kind of a common sense thing, but it is something that we sometimes do have to remind everybody about. Obviously, we're getting a lot better, I think, personally, with our communication to you all about big groups coming in and letting you know, when are the times that are going to be more difficult for you if you are maybe on your own in a gallery. So we will try and keep that up as much as we can. But also when you are in the gallery, I think the vigilance thing also is a two-way thing. So make sure that if you are feeling uncomfortable or if you do need support, you do call us on the radio. I know I say it quite a lot, and for the amount I say it, I probably don't get as many calls coming back to me. But I know you're all very, very capable, but please, if you do feel like you need any support or you feel like you have been left on your own a bit without any help, do call for one of us and we will make sure that we can support you as much as possible. That is the VSA's role, that is my role, and also Spencer's role as Head of Visitor Services. That's our main goal, is to support volunteers in the roles that you do. So make sure you are vigilant at all times. And yes, anything, like I said, anything that crops up, please do let us know. To always arrive on time to ensure that the galleries are stewarded when the public arrive. So this isn't changing as of the 5th of October. We are still going to be having the same shift patterns. Something that when the news about the changeover came about, do we actually still need volunteers? Yes, we definitely do. None of our insurance policies are changing at all, so we still need exactly the same amount of people in certain galleries. What Spencer will be looking at moving forward is actually the priorities of which galleries that we can leave unattended and things like that. That is something we still need to look at a bit more in detail. But always to arrive on time, because still, if you don't arrive on time, we open the doors to the public. We will have to close those doors until we do get enough people, or even if it is that you have missed a shift or you've called in sick or anything like that. Or even, no, sorry, if you've called in, that's great because we know. But if you have left it and none of us know that you're coming in, that you're not coming in, then that's where we do get left into precarious situations. On the similar line, always do contact the duty manager should you need help or need to move away from your post and never leave space unattended unless we previously agreed. Now, I'm sure many of you who have been here for a few years, we have gone through some changes in the Visitor Services Department and changes to the way that we work. And I know that at times it's been a struggle to get a consistent message at times about what's best to do. But this is really my opportunity to try and sort of lay the ground flat, because we have had instances in the past where people have left galleries unattended and things like that, and it's just not best practice in that way. So really it is just to say, unless we've said to you, you can leave, I feel comfortable, the main one most likely is I feel comfortable for you to go on your break for 20 minutes and we'll leave the collection unattended, that sort of thing. And then when you come back, I'll keep an extra eye on the cameras for 20 minutes and that sort of thing. So there are times when we will have galleries unattended, and that's for us to try and manage. But that is because we're trying to also make sure that you're getting your breaks as far as possible, and making sure that the security of the collection is still upheld, even when we're working on maybe skeletal volunteer staff for that day. So just a recap of all those things: to be visible, to acknowledge visitors on entry, to inform visitors of what's on display, to ask open questions, to be standing, again I have put that, we're not really me, to promote exhibitions by asking about them. It's something that I didn't actually create a slide for, but something I did point out is to point out the large print labels to people as well. We do have a lot of people that come in that can't necessarily read the small text, it's on the labels about that big. So do, especially in the collection gallery, because those labels at the bottom, they're only about half the information that you can fit on there. So all the other information is in the large print labels about your central collection in the POSNet gallery. To be vigilant at all times, to always arrive on time, and to always contact duty manager should you need anything, even if it's just for a chat sometimes. We are happy to do that. So, accidental damage and things that we ask for you to enforce whilst you're in the galleries. So, no food or drink at all. I know that during the summer we do have an exception to that rule in that we do prefer if people are walking around with bottled water, that is okay as long as it has a lid on it. People can't drink or consume anything in the gallery, so if they are going for a swig of bottled water, you can politely ask them to go out to the corridor and do that. But if they're carrying around bottled water, especially in the hot summer that we've just had, that is fine. However, other than that exception, no food or drink in the gallery at all. The main one that we probably do get is takeaway coffee cups from Benugo or from other coffee dispensaries around Bath. And sometimes we get things when we've got a lot of families in. The family might give a bag of crisps to a little kid or something like that, and there's just a bag of crisps in the collection. So things like that, that's what you've got to be aware of, and that's where we would ask you to really enforce those rules of none of those in there. But again, with an edge of politeness. Coffee cup with a lid is still a no-no. Yeah, still a no-no. Just water with a lid, that's fine. No backpacks on backs. Again, this is an age-old one, but something that has only really been official the past year or two, since we've had a lot of backpacks going upstairs, and after a few incidences of zippers damaging paintings and things like that. So no backpacks on backs. We do our best at the front desk with volunteers and the staff to mention to everyone who has a backpack on, but sometimes it might be that you're actually with a visitor and someone walks past, or someone comes in from another side, and you don't see everyone going up the stairs basically. So there is a sign at the bottom of the stairs, but as we all know, the public don't often read signs that carefully. So you are the next sort of the third phase really. So first of all, it's information desk volunteers and staff, then it's the sign at the bottom of the stairs, then you're the third phase if they go past that point, to ask them to politely carry their bag by their side. Can you ask someone to politely carry their bag? Politely ask them to carry their bag by their side.
I think that's the hardest one because quite often people do that, and then when people are not going to do it,
they will be very cheeky, yeah.
And there's only so many times you can say it.
Yeah. There is.
Yeah. Is there a rule about people wearing their bags on the front?
No, that's actually fine as well, because really the thing on backs is because when it's on your back, you have less awareness of that extra width that you've got, really. So if it's on your front, you are just more aware, and it would be down to clumsiness. What's that saying? Yes, even I think even those are still because it could be that they swing round, anything like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it is it's that just in case thing, because even if they do swing around quite, I don't know, violently, I guess, you could, the bag could swing and hit something or someone or damage something. So yeah, I think it's just
it's a lot easier with charging because you'll be sort of interested.
Exactly, you'll be interacting with every single
point out they should use the lockers. I'm amazed how many people struggle around with big bags.
Yes. So that's the other thing, really, is that anyone who when we do say at the front desk for you to carry your bags by your side, that alternatively they can use the lockers downstairs. But again, not everyone likes to do that. So yeah.
Some people say they don't take a big bag.
So I think that the best that you can do, really, the most that you can do, and if they're still disagreeing after this, is just to say okay. But the last thing that you can say to them is just, we really do. It's a rule that we've been asked to enforce because we've had damage to the collection, through just clumsiness and things like that. And if they are not willing to understand that, then you've done all that you can do, and we as a department have done all we can do. And then if something happens, then we've got cameras as well. So, there are different processes to this. So yeah, we're just asking you to ask everyone if they're carrying it on their back, carry it by their side. I think judge each bag in the shop really. If it's a massive bag, yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially around the ceramics that we're going to get in. Umbrellas, we ask them to leave them at the door, but if they carry, again, it's very much the same sort of thing, but if they see an umbrella, if you could ask them to take them downstairs as well. Yeah. They are as well. Javelins. Yeah, that's the best thing to do as well. But if people don't understand, then as long as you're asking them to take them downstairs or that sort of thing, that's fine. The next thing that we would ask you to enforce as well is no pens in galleries. Again, quite an obvious one. When we do have school groups in and people going around in workshops, we do give them pencils. If people are wanting to write or anything, we can swap out their pen for a pencil, but they just come to the front desk where they can do that as well. So no ink pens in galleries. So things to bear in mind if you see damage. So don't touch the damaged object. In very cases of serious sudden damage, if it was a smashed glass or if it was smashed porcelain, that sort of thing, or a painting that has been damaged, that really, really awful case of someone tripping and falling into a painting, something quite severe like that, is to, the main thing is to call the VSA. We have our procedures of what to do from there. Yeah, like I said, make sure that no one's going near the incident, or especially if it's anything that could harm someone, like smashed ceramics, glass, that sort of thing. Something that I wanted to share with you all is this, because I'm sure that you have wondered what happens when you do say to us all these things, like there's a coin in the drawer in the posnet that's moved, there's something going on in the Roper gallery, the temperature is not quite as it is, and here, so you always then say it to the visitor services team, which is either myself, Charlotte, or Emily or Spencer, and you will then see that our role is then to upload a collection of galleries, Google Groups subject that's shared with, especially the collections and galleries one, it's shared with the curators and the director as well. So this, basically, I'm sure you'll see some of the headings, some of them might be quite humorous to you. For example, the heading, gallery magnifying glasses. I uploaded about, what's going on, have we ordered them yet, that sort of thing. They're getting, I've got 6 on my desk that are broken, can we order some new ones? Curators will get back to me, yeah, they're on order, brilliant, we can then, get that information back to you. What's happening with the audio points? This was something that was brought up last week. I actually got a clear answer what's happening with those. For the moment, we're waiting for some funding to be able to replace those audio points. Caption's idea is to actually replace them with QR codes. So people, if you don't know QR codes, they're those sort of funny black and white things, square things that you can scan with your phone, and then the audio will be online, so people can listen to it online and things like that. So we're waiting for some funding to sort of get that off the ground. And yeah, as you can see, there's lots and lots of different things on there. So each gallery or building incident, we do report them. So I just wanted to let everyone know, because I know that we do sometimes, you come to us with something that you've noticed and we go, okay, and to you sometimes it might just be like, they actually listen? Are they actually going to report that? We definitely do, so that we do hold up our end of the bargain on that one. Something that I would just like to share with you as well is things to look out for, especially in the Roper Gallery. Something that I suppose might be on a lot of people's minds when thinking about security in the collection is that what if someone is trying to steal a painting? What if someone will just take it off the wall, that sort of thing? A lot of our exhibitions, we have really secure measures in there. Not only that, we have alarms, we have all sorts of security measures, and they all pass the government sort of indemnity test as well. So all of our insurance, they are all passed. That's Nina's job to really get all of that double checked and checked off. But one thing that definitely I think is really useful for you to know, which might be a red flag in the future, maybe, I hope not, but you might notice these are sort of fastenings that we use with some more modern paintings. With some older paintings that are very heavy, you have to use other means of attaching them to the wall. But really, you might have seen these before when hanging pictures at home. They are small little sort of screw pallets that you can put in, and then you put in these screws, which you screw in, and they sort of come out at the side. For example, let's say this was the frame, you could sort of see little metal bits coming out here and here. Often, if you can see the metal bits, just for tidiness, we paint over them, or we put some plaster over it so you can't see them. Number one thing that has happened in other galleries before, and it's something to look out for, is that if you were someone coming to steal a painting, one thing that is a trait is that they will come in, visit the exhibition, they might wait for an opportunist moment when you're not looking, and they might just peel off that bit of plastic and just have a look at what screw type it is, or they might, if it's painted over, they might pick it off. So do just look out for if you see any sort of flaking paint around some of the fastenings to the walls, because that's number one thing they'll do is that they will come, they will look, have a look at what screwdriver they need, then they'll come back another time. So that is a technique if you're an art robber. Not to scaremonger, so I also want to get on to something that we let everyone know about in the newsletter a couple of months ago. We've been doing some visitor mapping, and we've had the help of a Barnsley University student called Chantel. You might have seen her around. And Chantel has been doing a lot of visitor mapping for us, basically, and getting some research on how exactly people use the galleries. So I just wanted to go through some of the research that she found. So Davidson Gallery, people often have a longer dwell time in here because it is quite a pleasant gallery to be around. One of the other longest dwell times is the picture gallery as well, because of all these sort of intricacies, and people are really, really fascinated with those fine art pieces. But people often go clockwise around the room as well. So even when you're stewarding in there, it might be, there is no one way to go around that room, but people do often kind of go around it clockwise. In the Posnet Gallery, you will see that the central display prevents some pictures to be seen up close. So it is always really good, like I said, to be using those large print labels as much as possible, so you can get as much information, and people do try and lean over the cases there. Like I said, use large print labels to inform visitors of what's on display as well. The Fletcher Gallery, so people will stop to admire the hanging pots in the central display. I hope everyone knows this, I'm sure this is one of my favourite facts, but they are actually hung by like an umbrella system. So you pop in this umbrella that's sort of closed, and then it opens up once the pot's there and it sort of hangs like that. So that's how they are hung. And people will often pick apart the Bath social wall in the mezzanine as well. So right on the left, all of those printouts of all sort of different bits and bobs there. People will really take in that information. Also, the PC that's under the mezzanine stairs, visitors often really miss this. So something moving forward, I would love, if you do have time, to really try and encourage visitors to use that interactive PC as much as possible. About 3 years of research actually went into creating that piece, and it does have an awful lot of information about the surrounding area, about the railway that goes through the city gardens and the canal as well. Also, the Worth Gallery. Now, with the Rodan coming up, and sometimes with other exhibitions, we do have to have some stewarding in there, but often we are fortunate enough not to have stewarding in there, and we can leave that unattended. But its size is a disadvantage because, of course, when you try and pack it with lots and lots of stuff like we have done at the moment, and maybe you get a big group wanting to come in there, probably about 5 or 10 people at the moment, it feels crowded if you've got over that. So it depends what we have in there with the sort of the gallery walls, I guess, in there. And then the Roper Gallery, again, best practice will be shared with you with each exhibition, because with each loan that we get with each exhibition, there are different ways that we do try and steward the galleries there. Dealing with difficult visitors. Spencer is going to talk about this in more detail about the context of what is coming up in October as well. But just as a general, dealing with difficult visitors, I just want everyone to know that I'm sure you are doing an upstanding job, so please never take it personally, because you are giving your time, and it might just be that people are having a bad day and they come in and they want to disagree with you because it's raining outside, or because Tottenham Spurs lost yesterday or something like that. So it's, you know, people, I would love to live in a world where everyone's nice, but we don't. But do just remain professional and calm, and if you need any support, or if they're asking for a manager, VSAs or myself and Spencer are the ones that you should call for. Health and safety bits and bobs. So, protecting yourself. Make sure you don't put yourself in harm's way, especially when we've got de-installs and installs happening, and we've got lots of equipment coming around and lots of contractors wheeling crates and stuff in and out. So do make sure that when you are on a shift, and it might be that we have some contractors in doing work, that you're not actually putting yourself in harm's way, even though your intentions might be good in saying, actually, do you mind, you know, can I help out? We'll often just go, no, it's all right, that's for us to deal with. So make sure that if you ever have any questions about maybe how you feel that you're being treated, or if you have any sort of questions about the role of a volunteer, that you do refer to our volunteer policy that is available online, and we can actually get you a paper copy if you want one as well. But if you ever feel like you have any discrepancies, please do refer to that, and you can organise a meeting with myself until November, and then Spencer will be taking on those responsibilities as of November as well. So that is part of the sort of HR of the volunteer programme. So if you do have anything that you want to discuss, that might be, you might feel like you need an official point of view on, then you can refer to the policy and set up a meeting with myself. Fire evacuation, I will go through that in a moment. I know that we have had a drill before, so I am sure everyone's clued up on the fire evacuation. Radios, I know that they are wonderful, wonderful things, but constantly I'm having to remind people how to use them, I know. But on the side, basically, use the radio. To use the radio, there's a button on the side. You hold it down to talk into it. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Let go once you finish talking. If you haven't let go, people can't talk back to you. Or if you just press it down and you're talking into it, no one's going to hear you. So you have to hold it down when you're talking, let go once that's done. Good stuff. Any first aid situations that you witness or you bump into along the way, even if you're first aid trained yourself, please don't try and deal with them. The first aiders officially for this building are the VSAs and some of the learning team as well. But we are the ones who are trained to be dealing with any first aid situations. Fire evacuation. So this is the very complicated diagram that I showed to people in their induction. And I hope it does make sense. But really, yes, most of you know what to do in a fire evacuation, but I will just run through it. If fire alarm goes, and let's say you're in the Roper Gallery, you ask all the public to vacate the gallery, to make their way down the stairs. The lift is fully operational in a fire event as well, and they will be let out the main doors just here, and also the fire doors will be opened by the ESA opposite the information desk as well. So there's two sides that they can go out from. So once everyone is out of your gallery, sorry, the fire evacuation point is the car park. Once everyone's out of your gallery, you can then vacate the gallery as well, make sure the door is closed. The point of having 2 visitor services members on at all times is for that health and safety reason, to make sure that one of us is going from the bottom, locking all the doors, making sure everyone's out. One of us is going from the top, locking all the doors, making sure everyone's out. So we will lock the doors after you've gone. We're not going to lock you in. We will make sure that you've all gone downstairs. The next thing that I know has had some questions before is that all volunteers and staff will meet at the information desk, and we will head outside as a team together. So you as the volunteers will head outside as a team with one VSA, and the other VSA will stay and deal with locking up the last main doors to make sure that the museum is safe. So that's something that has had some confusion in the past. But yes, we all meet at the information desk, providing that the file isn't actually at the information
Who
desk.
manages the cafe evacuation? Do they go out cafe doors?
They all go out the cafe doors. They have their own evacuation process there as well. Yeah. So because they're a separate company and it's a sort of separated room, they have their own process of getting people out. Last fire evacuation we did, drill, was a couple of weeks ago. Charlotte was here, got people out in 3.5 minutes, right? 2.5 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. 2.5 minutes. That beat my record, I think. So, breaks during a shift. I just wanted to get everyone on the same page about breaks. So they'll be organised on the day. Even if, like this morning, we had about 3 volunteers in, we will always make sure that we get you a break with working stuff out. It might be that on those very, very short days, your break might be a little bit later than you're used to, but we will always make sure that you get a break. Do make sure that those breaks are 20 minutes as well. I know that you can often be having really interesting conversations and time might fly away. That's natural. But do keep in mind that if that break goes beyond 20 minutes, that might directly affect the next person's break, and they might be really waiting for another break or that sort of thing. So it does directly affect your volunteer peers if you are continuing on after 20 minutes. If you're volunteering a whole day, you will get a 20-minute break in the morning, an hour for lunch, and a 20-minute break in the afternoon. Spencer, this is where I hand over to you.
Okay, dealing with difficult situations. I haven't done this for a while, so I'm going to cheat and winning his notes. Luckily, although some of you may agree or disagree with me, we don't actually deal with that many difficult situations throughout the year. However, just going back to the slide that Josh had before, the most important thing, before I move on, is that if you have somebody who is quite cantankerous, or is being quite vocal, or has been directly rude to you, whatever the situation, before you move forward with anything, please call one of us. You here as volunteers, you're here to not only help us in the work that we do and provide great business service, but it's about your enjoyment as well. So why should you be upset and made to feel angry or displaced? It's really important that you call one of us, we will come and deal with the situation. That said, if you're on the ground floor and you're on the top floor, it's going to take us time to get there. So I'm going to give you some handy hints on how to deal with that person while you're waiting for us to happen half our way up. First of all, I want to talk about why the correct approach is so important. There is a huge amount of research, and it is now a fact, that if somebody has a bad time or a bad experience, whether this is in a museum setting, in a shop, in a restaurant, whatever, they will leave and they will tell more than 10 people about their bad experience. The amazing work that you do with all those people in the gallery that have a wonderful, wonderful time, they do have a wonderful time, but they probably only tell one or 2 people. That's a fact. So always keep that in mind. The correct approach is vital to the museum and the museum and repeat visitors. The other reason why we have to have the correct approach is we now live in the age of social media. And social media is a wonderful thing in the most part, but can be an incredibly damaging thing as well. TripAdvisor is something I celebrate, I use. I go on TripAdvisor probably 3 times a week and check out the whole account just to make sure that everything's going well. The thing is with TripAdvisor, if somebody has a poor experience or isn't particularly happy with one particular element, they will write about it and they put it on TripAdvisor and it stays there forevermore. If it's unjust and completely wrong and really vicious and they've made everything up, which is obviously very hard to prove, you can't have it taken down, but that's very hard to prove. And so, in the most part, those leads are left online. And then you have your Facebook comments, your Twitter comments, your Instagram comments. It just goes on and on and on. And like I said, once it's online, it's not there. If somebody is having a bad day, or for whatever reason is unhappy with the exhibition, or just not having a terribly great experience, the first thing I want you to all remember is that they're not personally attacking you, however they may come across. I know some of us have been in the situation, in the tone that people are using or the body language that they're using, it can feel like a personal attack on you. The thing to remember is the problem isn't with you, it's with the problem itself. So always remember, it's not about you. And I know that can be really confronting and it takes you back because, like I said, we're not particularly used to it here. But just remember, okay, take a step back. This isn't about me, this is about the problem itself. And just try and remain calm in that situation. The other thing to remember is that because they are complaining to you and they're downloading onto you, they're looking for you for answers. So therefore, you have the control in the situation. And again, it can feel completely chaotic, it can feel sometimes quite confronting, but because they're wanting you to give an answer, you have the control in that situation. So again, in that moment where you may feel a little bit taken back, just take a breath and just remember, okay, they want something from you, let me just listen to them. That's the most important thing, is just listen. Some people, most people, will rant and they'll just want to get it off their chest and they'll go on and on and on. If you just listen to them without trying to interrupt them and let them get that whole thing out, you'll probably find that at the end of it, they actually feel a little bit relieved, smile, and then ask you a question about another painting. Just listen to them, listen to what they're saying. Also, it's also really important to listen to them without interrupting, because if you have called for us to deal with it, we need as much information from you as possible to be able to make a resolution of that. So always display empathy. So when you're listening, don't interrupt and tell them that they're wrong, or that you wouldn't think that would be the case, etc., etc. Just nod politely, show that you're listening to them, show that you're taking it in. You know, if it's a situation, maybe they think that you've been rude, the first thing to do is just apologise. I'm very sorry about that. With somebody who can find a resolution to that. Once you've listened to them and they've got everything out, is try and identify what the issue is, which is sometimes quite difficult because people will wrangle a little bit and then one thing turns into another and another and another. But if you can ask the questions, you know, about what those particular issues are, let's think of an example of, I can't read that label text. Please don't read them. It's just to say, okay, let's see what we can do, you know, through displaying empathy and identifying that issue. We've got the last bit of labels, do they want to use those? No, I don't want to use those. Okay, let's see what we can do. Do you want me to walk around? If you have any questions, I can try and help you, or we can find out together, or we can learn together if I don't know the answer to the question. But the best thing to do is don't approach blame. So if they're saying, oh, these labels are terrible, go, I can't read my phone. I know that might be in your head, it's sometimes in my head too. But we don't apportionate blame. You know, we are all here in whatever reason to represent the whole group. So just try and find a way in which you can help them try and ease the tension a little bit.
On that note,
Yeah.
if in the Rocket Gallery labels could be a little bit bigger, just a couple of points bigger in the font, it would really help, because a very lot of the time we have subdued lighting, particularly the exhibition we've got at the moment. And if it's an unglazed picture and people are this side of the barrier, it really is very, very hard to read the labels. And it was very busy this morning, all the large print books were out, and I'd done the, shall I read it to you, shall I go and find a book? And I didn't portion blame, but I did say, yes, it can be a bit dark in here, and try to explain why. But I think future exhibitions, I have said this several times, if we could just have them a little bit bigger, it would really be helpful.
Also more
Yeah.
We'll put that on galleries and collections after
Yeah.
the session.
Is there a reason why they have that size font? Because this is not the first time this has happened.
I think, and this is just me talking, rather than giving you an actual reason, I think a lot of it has to do with the design and the build of the room, in terms of the way that things are laid out, not wanting to take away from the painting. It's always a really difficult balance, and balance is something that we're continually doing with everything. And going back to this, you know, we can't, it's impossible in any situation, whether it's here, somewhere else, we can't please 100% of people 100%.
I know we don't want them to be intrusive, but people have paid to come to the exhibition, and then they are struggling with the labels. It does detract from their experience.
It does.
I would say the fence, the same size, the larger. The only difference is that sometimes you can't. This is especially writers, really incredibly good.
We will always try and make everything we do as accessible as possible.
Sometimes the colour. And to care of that. And it's that little bit harder than it used to be. You don't have contrast and matters.
Yeah. I mean, we, like I said, we will always try to be as accessible as humanly possible to everyone to enjoy it. So we want more large print labels. More large print labels.
Yeah. I just end every conversation like that, and it's a very valid point. Thank you, I'll pass it on, because that's all you can say.
Yeah. Resolution. This is always quite difficult. I find this, and I'm sure Josh and Charlotte will agree with me, when we're on the ground floor or on the front desk and somebody does have a real problem, it's sometimes really difficult to understand what do they actually want from them. Do they just want to shout at us? Do they want a refund? Do they want us to give them the moon on a stick? We don't know. Sometimes it's really hard, and sometimes you just have to ask them politely, how would you like me to do something for you? And I think that's an absolute fair enough question, because sometimes that can be really difficult, especially if somebody is irate. So I'm hoping that you will never get past this before we've arrived. But if you have got past that and you are getting to the point of resolution, don't be afraid. What is it that we can do for you? What can we do today to ensure that you can continue enjoying your visit? What is it that we can do? Because sometimes that's not obvious. In most times, it's not particularly obvious. So don't be afraid to ask that. I wanted to bring us now to the 5th of October. I'm sure it's all lots of questions burning in your mind, and we will be answering so many of those questions on the 21st back here. And also sharing with you, just even today, it's getting more and more difficult. I've been project managing everything that's kind of happening on the ground floor and the changes, etc., etc. just want to share that with you now. It's getting really boring. But it's all finally coming together and everything's kind of set and happening, which is great. I want to also reassure you at this point as well, is over the last couple of weeks, the message is out there, the message is getting around, and I just want to share with you some examples of the conversations that we've actually been having on the ground floor with visitors. The majority of people that have asked about the charge for entry obviously ask about price, and when we've been telling them, their reaction is, oh, that's not too bad, is it? We're already paying £10 to go into the exhibition, so we're only paying £1 or £2 extra to see everything else. When we say everything else, obviously that's the collection, but also our enhanced program as well. So, for example, the work exhibitions, the other things that we will be bringing into the museum, just moving into the next phase into October. Not only do we have this amazing data in the theatre exhibition, but we also have the Thinker by Rodin, which is amazing. We have this absolutely huge copy of writing going in the ballroom. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it to the picture gallery. We just can't get it up the stairs far enough for it to go in the picture gallery. So there's all these additions around our own collection and things to complement our own collection as well. That said, we're not removing huge parts of the collection. We would never do that. That's who we are, essentially, who we are and what we're about. So when we've been having those conversations with people, they don't actually think it's too bad. The other people are kind of like immediately, without us having to upsell or promote it, go, how much is your friend's membership? And do I get free entry and unlimited entry? And the answer is yes. And the prices are changing. So £35 for somebody to come as often as they like. That actually covers the 3 main changing program of main exhibitions. It isn't that bad. There is another side to that. Bath has quite a wide demographic of people. There are a lot of people in Bath who survive probably on 4-figure sum pension a year, and probably live in supported housing outside St John's Hospital, that maybe wouldn't be able to afford that. But we have made sure that we have weekly times where people can still enter the museum and the exhibition, so the whole offer on both floors for free. So there still are going to be weekly moments, as well as monthly moments and other moments throughout the year, where people will still be able to. The Q&As that we give you are vast and lengthy and long, and I'm sure you've all read them at great length and digested them and memorized them as much as possible. But I just wanted to kind of break down the main points for you when people over the next few weeks, or once we don't charge for entry, may still have when you're out in the galleries. The main things to concentrate on, that we are a charity and we receive absolutely no public funding whatsoever. It's really rare or very unusual for a charity museum like ours to have free to enter and without public funding. Most of those places that you go, oh, it's free to enter, will have some form of public funding. We have that. We need to look to seek generate income streams from across all areas of the museum. So that's not just with general visits, it's the shop and the extension of that, it's the venue hire, cafe, and all these different moments that we'll be introducing to make sure that our program is still overachieving time and time again. We still need to do that. We can't stop doing that just because we've introduced the charge. The charge isn't going to solve the problems. We still need to raise through fundraising £500,000 a year. We still need to be able to do that. We'll be doing it in different ways to what we have been doing. We're just asking people to do anything through the door, but we'll be talking much more about that. And Camilla, our head of fundraising and development, she will be with us on the 21st as well, and she'll be talking about that as well. So yes, so those people who really are struggling with the idea and really think, do you know what, I can't afford it, I want to see their exhibition, please reassure them that we will be free to enter on Wednesday afternoon. We will be free our uploads, which we currently run at the end of each month on Friday. We will be free during those uploads as well. We're also going to continue to find those moments throughout the year where people can still come in for free. Things like Heritage Trading Week, things like so our big family days that we do, and also we want to increase our partnership with a lot of festivals, a lot of things that go on in the city. So we're constantly going to be talking to our partners and our friends around the city to continually find those moments where it's appropriate, where we can allow people to still enter the museum and access the collection and our exhibitions and our whole program, and not have to find that money that they may not have. You know, we've tried, and again, like I said earlier, it's impossible to please 100% of people 100% of the time. So we have tried to do our best to factor in everybody, which is a really hard thing to do, but we are getting there. And again, if people are really passionate about the museum, they want to support the museum, they want to come and see every exhibition we do and engage with us, becoming a member, you know, it's a great way of doing that. And it's, you know, the value in that membership, you know, £35 for a single or £50 for a joint is fine.
Really can't say it, really say £4 the cost of coffee, isn't it?
It is full cups of
When
coffee.
people are starting to moan about what it costs to come into the museum, don't bother to go and have a cup of coffee. As if they've had one less each month, come to your action.
But I think that's a good point, is to not think about the moment about it. It's a genuine concern for them, because they're only raising it because they enjoy coming here, they enjoy engaging with the collection, they enjoy engaging with you, they enjoy seeing the exhibition. They're not moaning, they're genuinely concerned, but they won't be able to do that. So we're trying to find ways that everybody can still be able to do that.
Okay, so I'm aware we're slightly running over time a little bit, so I'm going to be quite quick with this activity. But I did just want to, that was really good, thank you Spencer, in terms of actually putting into context some of those questions that we're getting. But I just wanted to do something a little bit fun and to hopefully get your minds thinking a little bit more about the type of audiences that we're going to be having in, and that we do get in as well. 3 slides. The first 2 slides, you're more than welcome to join in with all of them, can I just say. First 2 slides are probably a little bit harder because they're all about linguistics. Third slide, I really do want you to join in as much as possible. There's a nice story that goes with it as well. So, Bath and its tourism. I have spoken to a few people who are to do with tourism in Bath. Not only that, but the World Heritage Site people that work in the city. And Bath tourism is very much being made up of a lot of Americans and a lot of Asian people coming in as well. And Bath a couple of years ago did do a big campaign for all of its tourism places in the city about being China ready, because which Spencer is, he's officially China ready. He went on a course as well. He went on a course. So part of this is all about just knowing how to welcome people in. First slide, like I said, only be very quick. So, useful Chinese phrases. Ni hao is hello. If you're talking to a group, which actually we had a large Chinese group come in, they were all speaking Mandarin. I said ni man hao, and they all said ni hao back, which was amazing. It's quite, you felt brilliant. I will print these out so you do have access to them as well, and I have put them in phonetics. But there's lots of things. Xie xie is one of my favourite, which is thank you. Xie xie. It's a really, really nice one, and people do respond to it when you do try these out. Again, I know it does take some learning, and not everyone's gifted with languages, I do know. But if you could just maybe try and learn 1 or 2, that when you do get people in, for instance, every time someone comes in and you notice that they're not speaking English very well, I ask them where do they come from. They might say China. I say, because I know that China's got split between Mandarin and another form of Chinese, am I right? And I say, do you speak Mandarin? And yes. And I go, I speak very little, but ni hao. And they're like, brilliant. Or share. There you go. No, thank you. So that's all good. The other Asian talk we do have in Japanese. Again, I'm not too au fait with Japanese, but konnichiwa. I'm sure we all sort of know that one. Arigato. That's a great one, isn't it? Arigato for thank you. And I've put in ones about talking about donate and museum. Yes, in there as well. The next slide is actually sign language. Now this, I genuinely have a story that actually happened back last week. I was on the desk with an Erasmus student and someone came to the front desk and was obviously deaf, and she said, I am deaf, and had her husband with her, and our Erasmus student was a little bit stumped, didn't know what to do. I was there and I said, okay, gave him the map. I said, this might be wrong, because I did research this a couple of months ago. This might be wrong, but I said, isn't museum this? And they said, no, kind of. And they actually said that museum is 3, you put 3 down, and then you do an M like that. Only because this is M, and then you put 3 down and you do an M like that. So that is museum. And then I remember this one, because that's quite an easy one to remember, thank you. So that, and she really, really appreciated it, and she loved her time at the museum. So again, it's one of those little moments where you sort of affected someone's day. I'm not sure, she might have just thought, oh, who was that floppy head kid that was trying to do slide? I don't know. But I like to think that hopefully she felt a little bit more part of our community, and that she felt welcomed into the museum. So I will print these out and leave a couple upstairs and leave them in the tea house, but I think it's a really important thing that we do try and make people welcome. American ones. Howdy. There you go. Thank you very much. That's it for today. Thank you.